Elon Musk says there is no place to go except America. I recently did a video where I was talking about sort of the lie that nations tell around that there's no other place to go. And yet there was a recent interview that Peter Thiel did with, I think it was the New York Times, New York Post or something like that, where he mentioned having dinner with Elon in 2024 and telling him, listen, if Trump doesn't get elected, I'll just leave America. And Elon told him there is no other place to go. And so today I wanted to talk about that as somebody who has relocated into multiple different countries around the world. I'm very global. I travel all over the world every year. I helped people from, we've dealt with people from 150 different jurisdictions, so a lot of different places, go to different parts of the world, set up internationally, et cetera, et cetera. And so what is it that I think about that particular view? Does Elon have a point? Does he not? What is he seeing? What is he missing? And does that matter to you? So let's dive in. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell. I appreciate it if you like and thumbs up this video. It helps us with the algorithm and that's very useful for us. So very much appreciated the extent that you can do that. And if this is your first time here, I'm Michael from Offshore Citizen. We are specialists in helping people to build global structures to optimize on global tax, so paying the lowest legal amount of tax possible, stuff that isn't normally possible just within your own country, but might be able to be achieved through foreign companies or through relocating into other countries, et cetera. Improving on payment processing rates, on banking, on business operations, all these things, as well as relocating to those countries, setting up foreign companies, setting up trusts, asset protection structures, all these things that give you a plan B that make your life easier and better and reduce your costs and all that. So if that halo of things sounds interesting to you, then please reach out to us. Happy to work with you. We do one-on-one personalized solutions for you that are bespoke, customized for you, and not template cookie cutter things or anything like that. And so happy to help. You can reach out to us by booking a call with me, calendar.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or you can send a message through, there's a form on our website, offshorecitizen.net. I mentioned before that I think a lot of people have an idea that there's nowhere to go, and it's just total nonsense. There's like a ton of places to go. And I made a whole video on this. And so what's the deal here if we're talking about somebody like Elon Musk or Peter Thiel? Now, there's a couple points. One is, as an American, if you want to renounce, you may have a vicious exit tax, and that exit tax might be completely impossible for you. So Peter Thiel would probably have a very difficult time giving up his US citizenship because most of his investments are probably illiquid, and the tax bill would be like really ginormous. And so although he could physically leave, the ability to leave as a tax resident of the United States or a tax citizen, depending on how you want to call it, would be really tough. In theory, maybe possible, but really tough. Is that what Elon's talking about? I don't think so. What he's really talking about is that all these other countries are messed up in one way, shape, or form or another, and in his view, worse than the US. Now, it is certainly true that there's no perfect place in the world. Every place you go, there are problems. I see these people on Twitter who are out there that like bash UAE. And some of the things they say are illegitimate, some of the things are legitimate. There are certainly problems in every individual place. The problem is, you can't be like, all right, there's problems in this place, so that place is no good. It's like, well, then no place is any good, and then where does that leave you? So what you actually have to do is you have to say, well, what is it that I value as an individual, and how do the things that a particular place match with my particular set of values? And there's no one size fits all. There's no single place for everybody. There are places that are good for you, and there's places that are good for me, and there's places that are good for somebody else. And each of those places has probably got trade-offs. I mentioned before that in my experience, your quality of life meaningfully improves if you have multiple bases. There's some limit to how that goes, but certainly going from one place to two, like dramatically improves your quality of life. And so I tend to highly recommend it for people. So for example, people who criticize UAE about the hot summers, it's not a problem. I'm not here in the summers, so no problems. If you want to criticize various parts of, say, Canada for the cold winters, which you should if you're going to criticize the other side for the summers, guess what? You could go away for the winters. And there's plenty of those people. They call them snowbirds. So like you can definitely improve your quality of life just by having a different combination of places. This being said, it might be true that for a given person, There's no place that is better than wherever they are. And in the case of Elon and Peter, that might be the United States. So they might say, listen, based on my values, I've looked all over the world. There's no other place that fits. Fair enough. Fair enough. Totally, like, that is an individual decision. Everyone has to decide for themselves. This being said, I do think there's a different set of considerations for somebody like Elon Musk. And that is, Elon does really big scale business. And realistically speaking, his ability to do that business anywhere else is essentially impossible. So he is constrained by a different set of factors than affect you or I. You or I might be able to go and do our business in some other place. There might be commensurate opportunities. When you're talking about multi-trillion-dollar companies, I mean, you can just look at it and you can say, well, where are all the trillion-dollar companies in the world? And the answer is they're basically all in the US. What are all the other countries with these trillion-dollar companies? Interesting. So just by proxy, if you want to play that game at that level, you probably do need to be in the US. He's probably correct about that. That doesn't mean the same is true for you, but it might be true for you in other regards. For example, maybe you're in a situation where you have family that is keeping you in a given place. Perfectly fair, like family's super important. I do take a bit of offense to when some people will say, oh, you know, if you're going off to these places, then you don't have family or friends. It's like, no, this is total nonsense. You can be off in other places and you can bring family with you, or you can go and spend time visiting them, or lots of different things. So it certainly doesn't have to be an impediment to everybody, but there are certain people for whom their circumstances mean that it is really not viable for them to move. Now, I will caveat that a bit by saying that I think it's really easy to fool ourselves. It's really easy to tell ourselves stories that are they're kind of like rationalizations for our discomfort. So if I don't want to do something, then it's easy for me to come up with lots of reasons. My subconscious will generate them for me all day long of why I can't do it. And very often, you should embrace that discomfort. I was talking to my brother recently, who's been spending a bunch of time in Korea, and I was just talking to him about his experiences there versus in Canada. And I was telling him a little bit of a story where I had moved away from Canada. I was living in Serbia at the time. And I remember going for a walk and feeling very much like afraid, uncertain. I was kind of like, what I was taking on was, I wasn't sure that I could handle it. There was like a lot of uncertainty on the other side. I hadn't dealt with what I was getting into. My wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, was like putting a lot of trust in me. And I remember thinking like, part of me just wanted to go back to Canada. I felt like, you know, I should, like, it would just be so much easier. And I thought to myself, I know what lies back that direction. And it isn't what I want. It isn't the life that I want to create for myself. Everything that I want is on the other side of this fear. And so I have no choice but to go through it. And I deeply would encourage people who are in that situation to look and say, is the life that you're living today kind of the life that you aspire to? And if it's not, you've got to change something. Now, maybe that means you have to move. Maybe it means you need to do something different in terms of your business. Maybe it needs to do something different in terms of relationship. I don't know what it is for you, but you have to make a change because you only get to live once, and you should make the most of that life. And you should try as hard as you possibly can to move towards that which you aspire to. And that will mean some discomfort. That will mean some fear. That will mean some challenge. That will mean letting go of a bunch of things that are in your life today. I had a very, very good friend growing up, and we were like very close, had like a very, very close friendship, and we'd like finish each other's sentences. I cannot remember a time before I knew him. It was like they were my next door neighbor from the earliest age that I was born, etc. We'd gone through all sorts of grades, all the grades of school really together. And I had things that I wanted to go do. And for a variety of reasons, he had different things that were going on in his life. And so my needing to go on this different path meant fundamentally that I would spend less time with somebody who I really cared about and who, was a deep friend. And, on the one hand, that's difficult because when you build deep friendships, when you build deep family relationships, when you, get to know people well and you have a good support infrastructure and things like this, you want to stay there and it's hard to let it go. But the right decision sometimes is to do that. And so that was a choice that I made, and that turned out to have been really wonderful for me. And I actually was discussing it with them this past summer, and just talking a little bit about kind of going our own directions and what came of that, and kind of the wonderful things that happened as a result. So I certainly encourage people not to be caught in the narratives that we can tell ourselves when we are uncomfortable. This being said, it is also just factually true that you will have a different set of opportunities, you will have a different set of resources, a different set of constraints in different places. So I am blessed to a certain degree by the fact that I have over many years, really since like 2007 or so, progressively worked on building a life for myself that is not geographically encumbered. And so I have a lot of ability to be in different places. And not everybody has that. I have clients who run big factories in particular parts of the world. And guess what? Those factories are not going to move. They may have some tie-in to natural resources. They may have tie-in to certain type of contracts, et cetera, et cetera. And they're just realistically not going to move those things. Now, they could choose to give those things up, but that just might not be the wisest thing to do. It just maybe objectively much worse for their life to give that up. And so for those people, there may be no other place. And that place, in the cases I'm thinking of, are mostly not the US. I can think of some people in Indonesia. I can think of some people in India. I could think of some people in Canada. And think of some people in a variety of different parts of the world where they have this going on. And so I think what's very real about this story and this analysis is not that the United States is the only place and that there's no other place out there that isn't good, but that the factors that go into making the decision of where to be are deeply personal, and they need to encompass the totality of our circumstances, our aspirations, our values, and our relationships. And then you have to make a decision based on those things. Hopefully, you don't feel kind of imprisoned and beaten down, and like it's not like a really painful trade-off for you to do what is necessary as opposed to what is desired. But sometimes that's going to be the reality. So that's my summation of this topic. Let me know if you have questions or comments. Put your comments below and share them with us. Let us know kind of what it is that you've gone through, what the decisions are that you've made, what things you've considered, etc. And if you want help with kind of navigating this journey, etc., please reach out to us. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.